Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce. That thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real.
Today we're talking with Katy from Remix Communications, coming to us all the way from LA. Katy, welcome.
Hey Tristan, it's great to be here.
Can you introduce yourself for everyone that obviously doesn't know who you are? Tell us a bit about Remix Communications and your journey.
Yeah, so my journey to establishing Remix began. I studied communications in school, Montana State University in the US, and from there moved to Silicon Valley, worked for a couple PR agencies, ended up going to Apple for about 7 years in PR, which was a blast.
What decade or what year was that, if you don't mind?
Can't ask. That's basically like asking my age, but it was around the Steve Jobs era. How's that? It was a very exciting time, and I wish I'd bought more stock, but
yes,
hindsight 2020.
Around the iPhone launches or
Yeah, there were so many incredible launches that we were involved in. And I was working in the media and entertainment area primarily, but also did a lot with like online shopping. And I did the portables for a while. And it was just an incredible journey. The smartest people, gathered around a table. So it was such a great time.
Yeah, I can only imagine what it would have been like working in the PR space, communication space in Apple, in a massively growing company, probably the fastest growing company in the world at the time.
It was amazing. I remember being at my desk at 9:00 at night, and my boss was like, "What are you doing? This is not okay. You can't be doing this." But it was such an interesting time, and I was a little younger, so it was okay. It was great.
It helped set you up for the future.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then from there, I co-founded another agency and ran that for several years until I really decided that I wanted to focus on thought leadership. Because of the space that I was in, I got to, media and entertainment. It was just really becoming so many of the artists wanting to figure out how to, have their own works and be in charge of them and not be so under the spell of the record labels. And so I hung out with AC/DC for a day. That's one of my claims to fame, which they were the nicest people ever. Raymond, Erica the Doors, Thomas Dolby, just super interesting people. And then Peter Gabriel, also one of the nicest people. Although he stood me up for a press event that I did in San Francisco. I put this big press event together, invited all my media contacts. Everybody came. We were all there, and he'd been in LA, and he decided that morning he didn't really feel like traveling. And so we had to do this remote press event after, sort of promising everyone like Peter Gabriel's going to be there. And so it was, we were dragging I wasn't, but the poor events people were dragging like cable out to Golden Gate Fields in San Francisco, literally fields, to do this press event remotely. So,
what was the story of that agency?
That agency grew really quickly. We were all tech. And with that focus on customer marketing, but I always brought in that PR piece. And so really focusing on, PR programs for our clients. And then it was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years into the agency, one of our clients was Adobe, and that one of our client contacts said, "We'd love for you to own this speaking program." would you be open to doing that? It was like, well, yeah, I've done that. Sure, of course. So we took it on, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do this full time. Like, I really, really enjoy working with conference organizers and with my clients to figure out what's their topic, what's the good thing that they can be speaking about. So that's when I started to, really focus on that. I wanted to focus on this one area. And, to be fair, there are not many agencies who do what we do, to be so niche and so focused on something, because most PR agencies will tell you, yes, we do speaking programs, we do podcast guest placements, that kind of thing. The difference is that we really wanted to double down and become experts at it. So that's really been the focus of it, and it's been great.
Yeah, awesome. Did you take any of the previous team with you, or did you have to find new staff? How did that all come about?
Yeah. It'll actually be 10 years this December. Yeah. Yeah, that was part of it. So I could take my clients, and then I could take my team. So that was a great way to start a new business, is already having built-in clients. And yeah, and that included Adobe. Meta was one of those. And then my team is just amazing, and we're still working together.
Yeah, cool. What's the business look like today in terms of headcount, clients, size, locations, offer?
We are small and scrappy. There's about 5 of us. And we're remote. We're entirely remote. So we've got people in Oregon, a couple of people in Oregon, Northern California, Southern California, and then other resources that we bring in from all over the US. So it's a pretty wide group, or wide geographic location. Clients range from small companies, typically funded, but not always, as long as they've got assets to, allocate towards towards the programs. But all the way up to the big folks, like, again, Adobe, longtime client, Zoom is a client, Stitch Fix, which I don't think is in Australia, but it's basically it's a resource to be able to buy clothing online and basically get fixes, they call them. So get, fashion for you. So yeah. And then technology companies is a real sweet spot for us, healthcare, lots of AI. Yeah.
And what is it so for everyone that isn't familiar with the brand, what is it specifically that you do for these clients?
Yeah. So we start with story mining. So basically, if you were my client, Tristan, I would say, let's have this session. I'm going to basically interview you like a media person would. And I want to know all of your stories, ins and outs. I want to be digging for angles that I think would be interesting about you, and what messages you have to share. So from there, we're developing that storyline for you. At the same time, we're figuring out what conferences should you be speaking at, what podcasts do we think would be a great fit for you, and matching those up with you. And we take that story that we've developed, kind of that speaking abstract, and we're pitching you out there. And the goal is to get speaking placements for you at events where people you want to reach are. And that might be potential customers, current customers. It could be if you're hiring, where potential employees at, partnerships, maybe VCs, it's the full gamut. So we really take all that into consideration and then try and match make and find those opportunities.
Awesome. So you've shared with us the sanitized version of the journey and what it looks like to the end user. I want to hear about the highs, the lows, the times that you've wanted to quit, the times that you've wanted to fire clients or clients have fired you, or staff issues. Because at the end of the day, we're here to help other small business owners. I want to hear some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, probably most notably, started off with a bang when we started the agency 10 years ago. Everything was great. And then, like so many other businesses, COVID came along. When you think about COVID, what did it do? It shut down events. That's what we do. So there was this real kind of crisis moment of, oh my gosh, what do we do? This, we have people who want to speak at events. So, of course there were webinars, of course there were online things, but different and not as plentiful and not quite the same experience for people. Um, Companies didn't know what was coming down the pike, and so they were cutting budgets left and right for things like events. All of that was a very rough time to be in our business. So yeah, that was probably the hardest time. Well, it was definitely the hardest time for me as a business owner. I did a lot of soul searching at the time, thinking like, well, maybe we should be producing events. Maybe we should be the ones putting on these webinars and that kind of thing. And, because it's kind of adjacent to what we do. Ultimately, I just didn't feel that that was where our strengths were. And so we didn't go down that path. And I'm really grateful. We sort of stuck to the course. And just stayed true to our mission. So yeah, not an easy time.
Yeah, sticking true to your mission is crucial, because so many business owners try and serve too many people, too many different offerings, and go off on a tangent, and they end up just going around in circles and getting nowhere.
It's so true. It's so true. And it's easy as a business owner, I think, to say, oh, we do these 5 things really well. There's that full service agency term, or we can do all of it. But the fact of the matter is, I believe the more niche you are, the better. The more you can focus and be an expert in something, the better.
The more you can charge, because you're going to get better results.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yes, it puts you at risk because you've only got 1 or 2 offerings, but you become known as a subject matter expert.
That's right. Yeah. And in fact, it's been really neat. We've had a couple agencies, quite a few actually, who have come to us and said, we do what you do, but we think you do it better. So they'll collaborate with us. So if they have, clients who want speaking or podcasts or both, they'll bring us in, and we love that. We love working with other agencies and collaborating, and we're happy to stay in our lane. And that can really be an effective way to work together.
Yeah, awesome. Your previous agency that you co-founded, how many people were in that business, or how big did that one end up growing to?
Gosh, I want to say maybe 20, 25 or so. Yeah, by the time
I want to hear the difference between running a business with 5 or 6 people versus running a business with 20 or 25 people.
My previous business was interesting because the person that I partnered with was very, very good at kind of that back office. So legal, contracts, budgets, those things. I was like the front person, and I'm better, my strong suit is marketing and new business and that sort of thing. Starting my own business, all of a sudden I had to be all those things, all of it, right? And that's not easy when you're starting and you don't know what you don't know in the beginning, and you're just sort of like, oh, okay, what's all this paperwork I have to do to establish myself as, this type of corporation and all of that. So luckily I was able to bring in some really good advisors, experts to, that I hired to help out with that sort of thing. I have a virtual CFO, really good CPA, folks like that are just great at what they do, and they can kind of hold my hand and help me learn along the way. So yeah, the first year can be really hard though, as you feel like really overwhelmed. You're trying to make money, but you've got all this other kind of administrative stuff that you're working on as well.
And you're trying to upskill yourself in those areas, but you're trying to also run a business. So how do you upskill yourself and be good at that? And then you're like, oh, I've got to spend money. But where does the money come from?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And like I said, I had the luxury of bringing some clients with me. So
Mm.
I was in as good of a position as you could be, but yeah, I think my advice would be to somebody just starting off. And if you don't have like those clients right away, try to have some sort of a cushion, do the best you can. You are going to work more hours than you probably ever have. But ultimately, to me, it's worth it to be able to call the shots. And it's my agency. And if we do great, it's on me. And if we don't do great, it's on me. And yeah, I really enjoy that. But I also have a really good team that I can trust to keep things, cranking along really well.
So why have you settled on having a team of 5 or 6 versus a team of 10 or 15? Because it sounds like you do an amazing job and you could get more work if you wanted. Is-
We could, I think for me, it becomes diminishing returns. Like right now, we're very high touch with our clients. We're very involved. I'm involved with all the clients. Our team is very active with them. So I think for us, it's a matter of that kind of white glove service, if you will.
Mhm.
And I don't know that we would be that much more profitable, if at all, if I kept just adding people and kind of
Mm.
commoditizing it, if you will. So for me, it's more that this is kind of a sweet spot. I was at an agency event last week in Denver, Colorado, and there was a woman there who said her perfect size agency. She grew her agency to be quite large, I think 150 people when she sold it. But she said her favorite size of that agency was like in that 10 to 15 person range. And she was like, we were good, we were profitable, we were scrappy, all the things that, we want to be. And I thought, this is somebody who grew to 150 people.
All of my knowledge, all of my research, working with different businesses, 13 is the magic number for getting the best results for a client, for not having too many overheads, for being the most profitable. Like for someone that wants to be involved and passionate about delivery, 13 is that magic number, is what I've seen.
That's so interesting. Yeah. I think for me, if we got so big, I wouldn't be able to be doing some of the work. And I love the work. I love what I do. You know what I mean? So there's a point where you're so far removed from why you started the agency.
Well, if you had more than 13, let's say, you need to have a manager in there. And then
Yeah.
you need to get over 20 really quickly to cover their costs.
Right. That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. Yeah. So I kind of love where we're at right now, size wise, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Different businesses and different models need a different head count, and it all
Yeah.
depends on what the owner wants to achieve as well.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, there's kind of that people talk about certain revenue numbers that you want to reach, and then you're a viable candidate to be bought, by a bigger agency. But I've also, I've had that thought of just I just want to do this while I can. And, ultimately, maybe it's a fit for another agency to be kind of a bolt on. Even if we're small, you can still be acquired by another firm. So I don't think you have to be that huge, huge agency to somehow have an exit at the end. So, we'll
My
see.
mindset is build a business where you can pick and choose when you work, and you can step in and help the team, or you can go on a 3-week holiday and it still be functional. Um, you're always going to want to be moving your mind and being activating your brain kind of thing. So if why I personally like don't need to sell it. You just need to have it so you can step away if you choose to, and you can step back in, and you're still making yourself money for an extended period of time. What are some of the mistakes that you've made in business that you wish you had have known how to do differently earlier?
One is One is being really true to your numbers. And what I mean by that is you have to live and die by profit and loss, and so COVID really tested me on that. And in some ways I failed, because I just was like, none of us knew how long that was going to go. Right. So
Mm.
it was, I was trying to hang on and keep the team and keep going and start these new ideas and explore them. And at the end of the day, you need to be very true to those numbers and do the right thing for yourself and the business. So that was number one, and number two and three and four and five. You know what I mean? That was such a huge lesson and a hard one. But yeah, and I think the good news is I did right by everyone. I did right by everyone, but it wasn't necessarily the most profitable direction I should have, could have gone. But in the end, we're all good.
It's tough. Like you need to look after yourself. You need to look after the business. And sometimes you need to make tough decisions and let people go, even though they're a good performer. So if there's external factors that you can't control, that's not your fault. What do you wish you knew earlier in business?
I think trust your instincts. And by that, I mean, when you're like, let's say you're pitching new business, and if there are red flags going off in your head, you need to listen to those, and it's something like we're really good at doubting ourselves and thinking like, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Be curious about that and really look at those red flags and think about, is this somebody I really want to work with? Are they realistic? Do they, are they committed? Think about all the things that are giving you pause.
Is there a specific example that comes to mind? Like, you don't have to name names or anything like that, of course, but is there a time that comes to mind?
I think one thing for me that's very difficult is when people micromanage their agency. And it's a fine line, right? Because we look for people who want to be involved, who want to be, part of the team. We're part of their team. We're super involved. But we did have an example where somebody was so incredibly a micromanager, and it became exhausting. When you're getting emails, texts, Slack messages, phone calls, and it's something that you've already taken care of. This isn't like we were dropping the ball. That's a problem, So it needs to be a cooperative effort. You want them involved, but you don't want to be micromanaged. So yeah.
They need to trust you. They need to see that you're getting results. And obviously somewhere along the lines, either there's been a communication issue or they've been burnt previously. So why are they behaving like that? And you don't necessarily need to deal with that kind of thing. Like not every dollar is the same.
Not every dollar is the same. That's probably one of the best lessons I've learned. That's a really good way to sum it up. That's for sure. Yeah, just be super selective about who you're working with.
Yeah. What I found is often the businesses that are willing to pay more are the ones that will trust you, and you'll get better results for them. So the ones that are really picky over looking at every single line item and trying to cut you down on costs, they're the ones that are going to be those people that are looking at everything and questioning everything.
Yes. And they can absolutely suck the life out of your company, because then you tend to like, okay, I'll take care of that. And you're over servicing them. And then you're neglecting all of the other people who are actually really good clients. So yeah, those are lessons, hard earned lessons over the years.
Yeah, totally. One final piece of advice for a relatively new business owner, someone, let's say they've been in business for a few years, what piece of advice do you want to give them?
Oh, I love having my own business. So just do it. You can do it. Dive in, and build up a really good team that you trust. That's probably one of the most important things. You need those people that you just can turn to, and they get you, you get them. It's so incredibly important to have that good team.
So hire high performers rather than juniors initially.
You know what? Not necessarily. Initially, yes. You need like that high performer, maybe that second person to really be there, almost be like you, right? Or like a replacement you in some ways. But like on our team, we've had somebody who was pretty new out of college, very junior, was figuring things out. My gosh, she is incredible. And she's just, and now she's becoming that person, one of those people that you can just go, hey, can you do this? And you can speak shorthand, and she's on it. So it's just, that can make or break, the success of your business is how good your team is. So do your best, train well, hire well.
Hire slowly, fire fast.
That's it. Yeah. Yes. Haven't had to do much of the latter. So that's good.
Good. Katy, it's been a pleasure talking. If people want to get in touch, what's the best way to connect with you?
Yeah. LinkedIn is great. Katy Boos. And our website is remixcommunications.com, and would love to hear from folks.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tristan.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.